2 years ago, I quit my corporate job to become a fashion designer. Since then, I've been making a lot of things. I've been learning. I started a podcast, but I still haven't done the one quintessential thing that would make me a fashion designer, even just in my own eyes. I haven't made a collection yet. I decided to give myself the challenge of making a full collection in 13 weeks, and to hold myself accountable, I decided I would vlog the entire process. So this is the first of a 13-week vlog series where I will share everything I've learned in this very gated industry, which I feel like is just such a massive amount. And then the end, hopefully I'll have made a full collection, end to end, from research to creating the actual garments. And I'm hoping that through this process, I will be able to figure out my next steps as a self-taught fashion designer and not feel like I failed and should probably go back and get a corporate job. How did I get here? So I have had a fashion blog, like old school one, since 2014. I was creating a lot of styling content on the internet, but then in 2022, I bought a sewing machine, and this entire world of opportunities really opened up in terms of, if styling is trying to achieve a vision in your head using the items that you have at your disposal, then fashion design unlocks the possibility to create anything you can dream of, which is just so incredible. Once I started sewing, I was like, I think I want to be a fashion designer. So I started taking some short courses online, which ended up being a lot more about portfolio building to get into fashion schools rather than how to be a fashion designer. So then I sought out a lot of information on my own to actually learn about garment making, pattern making, and ultimately decided, with the help of a great teacher, that going back to fashion school wasn't really going to be useful for me, and instead to quote Simon Unglis, who is the former printmaker for Alexander McQueen, a speech that he gave to Central St. Martin's graduates, so fashion students. He said, the only way to become a fashion designer is to make a sex tape. So this is my sex tape, but not actually a sex tape. So what can you expect from this series? I have set some rules for myself. I have a deadline, which is the end of January. This will be coming out the first Monday of November. Every Monday until the end of January, there will be a new video documenting my process. You know, life happens. If I'm gonna miss a video, I will let you know on the channel and be like, something's happening. But otherwise, I'm committing to a vlog of the process every Monday. One of the reasons I chose to become a fashion designer is because I am such a sustainability advocate, and I see so many opportunities for innovation, new jobs, new ways of doing things in the entire fashion production process and design process. I'll be sharing that information as I go, but in terms of how I'm creating my collection, I'm going to use only fabrics that I have so far. A lot of the fabric that I have is actually Deadstock designer cast-offs. I'll talk more at some point about my thoughts around the Deadstock industry, but I also have a lot of vintage textiles, a lot of found textiles. Upcycling is something I really believe in. I have so many things I'm really excited to finally make garments out of. I'm a fiber artist as well, so I knit and I crochet. I also love surface decoration, so I have the tools to be able to felt. Well, felting isn't surface decorating, but I can felt and punch needle. All that to say, I do have wonderful yarn resources here in Germany that are ethical, sustainable. So yarn is something that I'm willing to buy in the duration of this process, but I also do have a lot of yarn. There's like yarn down here and stuff too. I have a lot of yarn, but if I need it, I have a sustainable resource for that. How does somebody go about creating a fashion collection? There's so many different ways to go about doing this. That's one of the reasons why I want to document it and share my process as I do it for the first time, knowing all of the myriad ways that we could potentially go about this. but I'd love to give you some things to check out if you're trying to see like what this might look like. A great movie is Dior and I. It's a documentary that chronicles Raf Simons going through this process when he was at Dior. It's a very high fashion take on what this collection development process looks like. I also am familiar with what this looks like from a corporate standpoint, having worked in corporate fashion retail and in-house line development in a past life essentially. And that feels a lot more like product development versus Dior and I is much more about fashion is art, less so about wearability. But then there's a really good mixture of the two. There's a great example that actually just came out and it's here on YouTube. I'll also link that below. It's from Oscar de la Renta. I think it's A Sense of Beauty, but it covers both that artistic side of things of what a collection development looks like while also balancing it with some of the more realistic constraints of developing a collection for retail. I would highly encourage you if you want to see what this might look like, what kind of my vision for how I'm trying to document this is gonna look like. That's a great watch. And if you have watched the Oscar de la Renta Sense of Beauty, like please drop me a comment and let me know what you think. I'd love to chat about it. One of my biggest takeaways, other than how beautiful and incredible their process is, how many artists they're able to use, is also how many people it takes to do this collection, and also how much money clearly you can see pretty evidently. And I'm doing it just me in 13 weeks, so that does feel a little bit daunting. This is also a very new filming style for me, just to wing it in front of the camera and just share everything off the cuff. But the development of a collection is such a non-linear process, and there's so many things I want to talk about, and I just don't have time to do more of the heavily edited, pre-planned content while doing this. If I had a documentarian, that'd be lovely, but I don't. So please bear with me as I get comfortable with this format that I really can't control as much, but I'm really excited to share it with you, and I appreciate all of your support. We've laid the foundation, 13 weeks, an entire collection, hopefully 12 full looks. I think I'm going to include footwear as well. Next week's video is going to kick off with the research process. I hope you will hit that like and subscribe button so that you don't miss the next one, and I will see you next Monday.